I swore I would never garden again. This is how I failed. You know what? If you would have told my young Waylon that I'd be out here in a garden just above zero, that sweaty kid would have rolled his eyes and said, "You're just crazy." Here I am. And I swore as an adult I would never be back in the garden. It just felt like a punishment, but here I am. And I'm worried about where the mulch has gotten thin, and I've got some winter greens coming up. I think this is henbit or purple dead nettle. It frosted a little bit, but those roots are just in that top part of that mulch. And when I cover it up, they're just gonna become part of that mulch. But I can't believe I'm out here worried about the garden when I swore I'd never be back. One more area, and that's one more area down. And I didn't even cover up my dandelion. Warmed up to 23 degrees. Since the wind stopped blowing from yesterday, it's really not that bad out here. It's a good time to bring in some more leaves. But you can see just, yeah, it's froze solid. Now the other day, I ran into a gentleman about my age, just a little younger. He grew up in the 60s and 70s in the garden. We started comparing notes. Turns out he didn't like the garden much either as a kid. It kind of highlighted one of the reasons I say I don't tell another adult how to garden. We came up with similar results. We just did a different way around the barn. His stories were amazing. He didn't know that I have a channel, so I just sat there and we just compared notes. It's funny how you meet people. We were standing in the grocery line at the store. We were grumbling about the price of food. He said something to the effect of, he put up more corn for the price per pound that they're selling it on the stand over there. And I said, "Oh yeah, how's that?" And he said, "Well, he takes and he plants about 15, 50 or 60 foot rows. Takes him 17 hours to put them up." And I just kind of stared at him. He goes, "Yeah, you know, you gotta get the tractor out there and you get a bucket full of ears. Then in processing it, you gotta take and shuck them, take the silks off, blanch them, then cut them." And I said, "Yeah, I don't do it that way exactly. I plant real heavy and kind of in little patches. I know I plant too close together, but we get enough that we can eat. We just graze out of the garden. And we put a few ears in the freezer and we microwave them, and then we take the husk off." He goes, "Well, that's one way." I said, "Yeah, I just cut that end off that has the worms, and we put them in a freezer bag and we throw them in the freezer." He said, "I take up an entire shelf." Well, I was gonna do that one year, but I said to cut the corn off the cob and it flies everywhere. I don't care how careful you are. I was told by the boss, we're never doing that in the kitchen again. And he said, "Yeah, it gets a little messy, but you do it once, you can eat on your corn all winter long. And it just costs you the amount of effort it takes to plant it and to pick it and to put it up." I said, "Nobody does that anymore." Turns out, he didn't want to ever garden again. He grew up just like I did. He was forced to garden. I got my baptism in Wyoming. I got to hoe corn. He grew up in Oklahoma. He got to pick squash. But you only got paid if it was small and it fit through the ring on that cardboard cutout they gave you. Anything bigger than that, you still had to pick and bring up, but you didn't get paid for it. So it's similar to the blackberry story that I had. He had the same blackberry story. Loved the jelly, hated the seeds. I said, "No, I didn't even like the jelly so much after the scratches." Told me he put up 26 pints of pickled beets this year. "You know, the ones with the sugar and the cinnamon, the ones that taste good?" I said, "Yeah, I know. I grew up in the Wyoming high desert and those beets tasted like dirt. But since I've been down here in the deep mulch, our beets taste sweet. We save that juice." He goes, "Well, you gotta save the juice. You use that while you're pickling." I said, "Well, Grandma came up with a jelly called belt jelly. So I had to explain that was a B-E-E, that was flourished, that looked like an L. And since I didn't like beets and refused to eat them, nobody told me that meant beet jelly. I love that beet jelly. And that was a big joke at our house for a long, long time. And now, I don't believe your garden would be a garden without beets. I actually have another round of beets up underneath this plastic. I'm not taking that off because it's a little chilly today. It's gonna be cold for another few days. Cold frame ought to handle it pretty well. And he said he never wanted to garden again in his life until he got the first piece of land. The next thing you know, he was growing food for his entire family. Once I decided that I was gonna grow my own food without using any fertilizer or chemicals, so we came to the same conclusion, but it just went around the barn a little different. We both swore we'd never be back in the garden. But here we are, putting up enough food to feed our families most of the year. The reason is why. I think we both realize the difference between the punishment or passion. You know, the corn's still gonna be messy. Blackberries are still gonna be scratchy. The mud is still gonna be out there. But the difference is the why. Chatting with this fella, it kind of clicked. We all have similar stories. And I sort of stumbled upon this earlier this year. And I wrote a little book, not really a manual on gardening, more of a reason why we get ourselves back to the soil. The cycle: pile, plant, protect, and pick. Then he started telling me about the benefits of deep mulch. Where he feeds his horses, he said the hay gets piled up pretty good with the round bales and then they eat it down, but it gets down about this big, and then he scoops that all up. He says the best dirt you're ever gonna find, and he puts that out on his garden. He said it makes things grow really well. So I was telling him about leaf mold and how I kind of stumbled upon this thing. And it's funny, we came to the same conclusions, even though we went a different way around the barn. So looking at your garden plans this year, what part of your journey are you doing out of love? And what part of your journey feels like that sweaty little kid doing chores? So I definitely got a bunch more leaves to rake up. I think I need to heat up my coffee. I think we got plenty of time. But for me, I swore I'd never be back in the garden, and this is how I failed. It became a passion project. You can do this too. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.